Welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. That music that you just heard was none other than the Unholy Four with the hit song Dirty Knife. Real quick, I'm going to do this really quick because our average listener only listens, at least according to YouTube, a minute and 30 seconds to our podcast here. So, real quick, Ottsville Record Garage, really big news coming up. We are doing a pop-up record store on Friday, October 27th. It's going to be at Wycombe Vineyards, which is in Buckingham Township in Bucks County, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's going to be a wine and vinyl night. I'm going to be there. I'll have some records to sell. We'll be spinning records. I'm going to bring the turntable and set it up, and we're going to be spinning some records and listening to stuff. I'm even working on trying to have some new releases there, so we could do maybe a little new release listening party. One of the things that comes out that day is Taylor Swift's Taylor's version of 1989. So if you like that, you might be able to come and listen to it first with the Ottsville Record Garage at Wycombe Vineyards. And they'll also have like wine for sale, and they'll be able to do tastings, and they also have a distillery that's hooked up with them as well, so they have some spirits, like other drinks that you can get as well. So check that out. Wycombe Vineyard, October 27th, 5 to 9 p.m. It's in Buckingham Township, and it is a wine and vinyl pop-up record store, our first event with the Ottsville Record Garage, so I'm really excited about it. So check that out. My co-host is none other than my brother, the country movie buff.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
And welcome to this week's episode of Summer Movie Club. I am your host, and I lined up just because I saw a bunch of people doing it, and I thought they were selling drugs. And I am joined by my co-host, and God sent him, on a Suzuki. Paul, how are you?
I am good.
Do you want to explain to the listeners and the viewers why we're introing two different podcasts on one podcast?
Yes, we are doing, as we mentioned at the end of the Bright Eyes episode, if you made it to the end and you could understand anything we were saying, we had mentioned when we pulled this next album.
You can't fucking take it.
You can't take it. I will explain that to you in a second. We have pulled the Commitment soundtrack for, which is actually our 25th record.
Yes.
From our collections. It's our 28th episode on the Country Hipster Podcast. It's the 25th record from our collections, which means we are officially halfway through our record collections. Because as you know, the setup of the podcast is 25 records from my collection, 25 from Adam's. This is my 13th record, and Adam has 12 that we've done. So we're at a really literally that halfway
really
point.
Even,
so it's pretty cool. And we had mentioned all along that what we were doing here there's like something in that. I don't know what that is. Fuck it. Okay. At any rate, sorry. We'll explain this too.
Got it.
Thank you. So what we've been talking about when we do the Commitments, you didn't know it was the Commitments. We just said there was going to be a crossover episode with Adam's other podcast, the Summer Movie Club, and since this is the Commitments movie soundtrack, we are also doing a
little bit of taking the best parts of Country Hipster, taking the best parts of Summer Movie Club, making a little Frankenstein podcast tonight.
There you go.
So yeah, excited.
And the reason why we had this going on is because missing is our brother Zach, who is also the co-host of the Summer Movie Club. And if you listen to Summer Movie Club, which you should, his kids are generally in the background making a lot of noise,
causing a bunch of ruckus.
So we got some kids playing here for Zach. So, but it is a little distracting, as it is when we're listening to the podcast. So, Summer Movie Club people, welcome to the Country Hipster Podcast. Country Hipster Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the Summer Movie Club.
Yes, so please, we have our video that we do on Spotify and YouTube. You guys don't do video; you just do audio.
We do have one video for one of our, I believe it was our 2-year anniversary episode. What we did was we just blatantly ripped off Hot Ones. We called it.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Not Ones.
Right.
So there is, if you do search Summer Movie Club on YouTube, there is a video of Zach and I eating progressively hotter hot wings while answering questions. Like basically, I don't know if you've ever seen one of those like 30-day photo challenges on Instagram, where it's like every day of the month has a different category that you
Oh
can
yeah,
take a picture of.
Yeah.
We pulled one of those things where it was like 30 days of like different movie things, and Zach and I go back and forth answering the 30-day movie questions.
Okay.
While eating hot or hot wings. So
Cool.
If you're ever interested in watching two grown men with beards eat hot wings, you know, whatever you masturbate to is on your time. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly. So, Summer Movie Club people, please look up the Country Hipster Podcast and subscribe to the Country Hipster Podcast wherever you get your podcast. And Country Hipster people, please look up the Summer Movie Club and subscribe to them as well. We could definitely use both of us could definitely use the support here, both podcasts. So, what you see here are a couple of stouts, right? So since we are a drinking podcast with a vinyl record problem, we're going to do something here. The Commitments, if you are familiar with the movie,
which I was not,
which he was not, I was very familiar with. Love the movie. Believe it came out in the early 90s. He made what year did it come out?
Actually, if you give me a second, I'll give you some little factoids. Came out in 1991.
Okay.
Directed by Alan Parker.
Okay.
Who also directed Angela's Ashes.
All right.
The novel and screenplay credits, Roddy Doyle, Roddy. Roddy Doyle. Roddy Doyle?
Mm-hmm.
Roddy Doyle wrote the novel and has screenplay credits.
Apparently, his writing, from what I as I'm sure it's been well documented here on the Country Hipster Podcast, I can't read, or read well, but apparently his novel says he has about Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
We're kind of already getting into stuff, and it's 7 minutes in, so you should be proud of us. So, He actually says Roddy Doyle has a few novels out there, and they're actually very easy reading things.
Okay.
So, for someone who does have trouble reading, and it's because of my learning disability, it's like reading and fully comprehending what I'm reading while I'm reading it. It's probably something I could probably read, so I might go check that out. But I like the movies better.
The movie also has two other screenplay credits. Dick Clement. And I'm going to butcher this person's name, so I apologize. Ian LaFranais? F-R-E-N-A-I-S. I'm assuming
that sounds about right.
Both have screenplay credits on this. Also, you mentioned a movie on the on Country Hipster before that they both have screenplay credits for, and that's Killing Bono.
Oh shit! Okay,
yeah, so they both
love Killing Bono.
have written by credits for that, and then they both have screenplay / story credits.
Nice.
For Across the Universe, that movie where they did with all the Beatles music.
Okay, so here's what I'll say about that real quick, and then we got to get into our stouts here. I haven't seen Across the Universe, and I think I've made
I wouldn't expect you to.
Well, I've made it very clear that I don't like the Beatles. However, I'm intrigued by that movie. I actually am intrigued by that movie to the point where, like, I do want to watch it. Just from an artistic aspect, I've heard that it is visually wonderful. It's really well written. Yes, there's all the Beatles music and whatnot, but it's like really a just a really beautiful artistic piece. So like I actually do at one point, because it keeps popping up on HBO Max as well, that it's available. So it's like, fuck, I really should just sit down and watch this movie. So I do want to watch that. So, but as mentioned, as you can tell by some of those names, The Commitments is actually based in Dublin, Ireland. And as many people know, the Irish love their stouts. Specifically, the Guinness Brewery is in Dublin. And what does that bring us to here? So here's the deal. I have always said that when it comes to the Irish stouts, I prefer Murphy's Irish Stout over Guinness Irish Stout, which I still love Guinness, and generally that's what's more readily available, and I have no issue ordering a Guinness, but I get super excited when I see Murphy's, and it makes me happy because I've always said I like Murphy's better.
So I love Yingling, but if I go to a bar, like usually if you go to a bar in the Philadelphia area, the lager they have on tap is Yingling. Every once in a while, though, you walk into a bar and they have Harp on tap, and I get excited. I get a little bit of heart flutter. It's AFib.
Yes,
so
AFib.
It's controlled though.
That's good. That's good. So what we're actually doing here, so there's this envelope here, right? It's sealed. You can't really see it because of glare and shit, but this is sealed.
We're fucking all about envelopes on
this
we are.
So what I had us do,
we're a drinking podcast with an envelope.
Yes, there you go. It's a new T-shirt. Yeah. So one of these is Guinness. One of these is Murphy's Irish Stout. My wife, my beautiful wife, Katie.
My wife.
My wife. She poured these upstairs before we
without us seeing
them. So one of these is
Paul has a Yoda.
There's a Yoda
on
here,
his side,
and the other
I got
one
a
is Boba Fett
on my
okay,
side.
so she wrote down and as to which beer is in which of these things. So we're literally going to do a blind taste test of these beers and try to say this is Guinness, this is Murphy's. Now, visually, man, these are really fucking close. Oh yeah, there you go. We can also show the can, like these are undrinking cans of Murphy's and Guinness.
I just wanted the water to cleanse my palate in between.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Actually, yes. Mine. How's my thing there? Let me get another one. So here's the thing. Like I just find Murphy's less bitter, creamier, easier drinking, and just overall more delicious. I think as far as like ABV, this is 4%. What is Guinness?
Guinness is about the same. I don't know. It doesn't. I can't fucking find it.
It's got to be on. It has to be on.
I know it has to be on there, but I can't find it.
Give it to me. Jesus. Where the fuck is it?
I was like, oh, my arch nemesis, words.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm the one like I can't really read, so let me see where the fuck is it? Oh my god.
I think Guinness is like 5.
Yeah, it's in there. It's Jesus. It's really not on the can. You know what? It's probably on the box it came in.
Probably.
It's probably on the box. I mean, we do have the Google machine right here, but it's a very similar ABV. It's not actually. Fuck it. Now I want to know.
I'm pretty sure it's 5.
What is the ABV of Guinness Drought Stout? 4.2.
Oh,
according to the Google machine. So Murphy's comes in at 4. Guinness comes out of 4.2. Both very drinkable stouts.
Guinness is like fuck you, 0.2 more.
Yeah, 0.2 more. And throughout the whole movie, that's what they're drinking.
Yeah.
Like you don't actually see them drinking anything else. At least from what I can tell, they're drinking Guinness the whole time. So presumably Guinness because it does happen in Dublin, and that's where the Guinness factory is. So visually, man,
it's fucking close.
It is close. I'm leaning towards, and not just because the can's here, I'm leaning towards the Yoda visually being the Murphy's Irish Stout.
I was actually leaning visually before we were started. I was looking at them, and I'm leaning towards the Yoda cup being Murphy's as well.
Okay, so here you go. I'm going to take a sip of this one first. Okay.
Now, I was just thinking about this. Like, I've had Murphy's maybe a handful of times.
So
I may not be the best person to tell the difference.
I've had Murphy's a ton of times, like a million times I've had Murphy's. So that's that. Now let's do a little
palate cleanse.
Okay. All right, I'll let you try that one first, since it's closer to you. Clearly, I cannot choose the cup in front of me. All right.
He's like, never get involved in a land war in Asia.
Yes. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to write down. Okay, actually, after tasting this, my thought is that Boba Fett. Actually, I don't even want to. Oh, yeah, no, I guess I should say it. My thought is that Boba Fett is Murphy's, and that Yoda is Guinness.
I found a random posted on the floor.
You found a random posted on the floor. You can find those here at the Outswell Record Garage. So you're writing down yours.
What are you saying?
In my opinion, Boba Fett is Murphy's. So that's one there, and Yoda is the Guinness. Even though visually we both thought that Yoda was the Murphy's. What are you with?
I'm going opposite actually. I'm sticking with
Yoda.
I'm
okay, Yoda's Murphy's. Yeah. Okay, so you can do the envelope there, sir. And we're gonna find out what it is. My wife Katie, she is the smartest one in the room, so she wrote it down.
You're right. Boba Fett is Murphy's and Yoda is Guinness.
Yes. And I'm going to go so far as to say that I am correct, that I like Murphy's better. So here, you drink the Guinness.
So what made me stick with Yoda being Guinness was that
or being Murphy's. You said Murphy's. Yes.
This tasted less bitter to me than that did.
No, this is definitely here. I'll do it again. Hold on.
Yeah, to me that that was definitely creamier, but that was less bitter. To me.
Yeah, this batch actually does that. Yeah, it is.
And don't get me wrong,
yeah.
I fucking love both of them.
Yes.
But
I think, like I said, I've always liked the fact that Murphy's is so creamy, and that was like as soon as when I drank this, I'm like, I don't think that's Murphy's, but as soon as I took a sip of this, I'm like, oh, that's fucking Murphy's. Like boom,
Yeah.
light bulb went off. Like that's Murphy's. So I feel good about that. I feel good that I could actually
you could win the Pepsi challenge.
I could win the Pepsi challenge, and I could pick that out. So Adam, you started let's move on. Let's just drink our stouts here, and you started with your factoids about the movie, The Commitment. So why don't you continue with some of your factoids there, buddy?
Like factoids, or want me to go into my opinion on the album and the movie?
Not yet. Just do you have any more factoids about
the only other
the
factoid
movie?
I have is there's if you listen to Summer Movie Club, and we've kind of implemented it into Country Hipster as well. When Zach and I would cover a movie that had a director or a writer or an actor that was involved in something else that we covered, we referred to them as friends of the podcast.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say Brona is how you pronounce it. Brona Gallagher.
Yep.
Is a friend of the Summer Movie Club.
Okay. Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. She
Yep.
played Trudy in Pulp Fiction, where if you've seen Pulp Fiction, she plays the one. No, Trudy's not the one with all the shit in her face.
No,
as
no,
John Travolta, as John Travolta says. She is Eric Stoltz and his girlfriend's friend in the scene where Uma Thurman gets stabbed in the chest.
Yes. Yeah, and she's like, someone coming up like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to see this. She like puts a bong down or something like that.
Yeah.
What I actually think is cool is like another familiar face in this cast of the movie is Colm Meaney. Colm, Colm Meaney.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in so many different things, but honestly,
I'm sure he plays the dad.
he plays the dad.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure. Honestly, if I looked through it really quickly, like
Uh-huh.
if I looked through the library of shit that Zach and I have covered,
Yeah.
I'm sure he is in it because he's one of those characters. He's one of those character actors who's just in fucking everything.
Exactly.
Con Air. He's in fucking
Uh-huh.
A movie Zach and I have talked about covering a lot, Mystery Alaska.
Oh, I love. Yeah, exactly. That's one of my favorite movies. Actually, he's the mayor in Mystery Alaska.
Yeah.
He was in the movie, like a little indie flick that I think is definitely worth looking up, called The Button Wars, which is based in Ireland, and it's pretty much like a Catholic versus Protestant thing,
Yeah.
but with kids, but no like actual war. But yeah, he was also in Under Siege. I forgot he was in Under Siege. He's basically a henchman
I try to forget that I've seen
in Under Siege. But what's funny is I've also one of the things that I actually recognize him from the most is because my ex-wife, was a very very devout Trekkie. So he was on a Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Yeah. He was one of the officers or something on that. That's actually where I noticed him the most for. But he's probably, I would say, the most famous actor who's in this movie. There are a lot of good actors, but yeah.
Something that, like, when I was watching the movie, like I said, when I watched it for this, Law Abiding Citizen is in that Law Abiding Citizen, which was shot in Philly, which is a decent movie.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I never saw it, but I've heard about it.
While watching it, I'm like, man, that guy on the guitar looks super fucking familiar.
Yes, he does.
Because he's Glenn Hansard.
Glenn fucking Hansard.
Glenn Hansard is of the movie Once. Of the Swell season, and currently The Frames, I believe, is his current band.
Academy Award winning.
Academy Award winning Glenn Hansard. Yeah,
for Best Original Song in Once, which he also starred. I think he also wrote part of the movie.
Yeah, I know he wrote. I think he wrote part of it. Definitely wrote the music for it.
It's a movie. It's an album. It's a Broadway play. A Tony-winning Broadway
I've seen
play.
I have not. I
have
saw
not.
it for my birthday one year. My ex, we went through this little phase where we were like trying to go see Broadway shows.
Okay.
So like we went to see Wicked.
Okay.
At the Academy of Music, and then one year for my birthday, she took me to see Once.
Oh, that's cool. So cool thing about that, when Once was touring, what they were doing is, what the cast was actually doing was, they would come into town and they would find an Irish pub in the area,
yeah.
and they would all go to the pub and just like basically like throw a session of like music and stuff
Yeah.
like that. When they were in Philly, they went to the Plow and the Stars on 2nd Street quite often.
Okay.
Now, even kind of cooler about this is the official bartender of the Ottsville Record Garage and the Country Hipster podcast works at a bar in Trenton called Tierno, and one of the other bartenders there is this guy named Jude, right? And Jude is from Dublin. Jude went up, and apparently they I don't know if it's still playing in New York.
Jude's black and proud.
He is, yes. But in what the fuck? He went up to New York to see it on Broadway. I don't know if it's still currently playing in New York. But like, I guess the play is set in a bar, right? And they have an actual bar set up.
Yeah.
Well, he was able to actually go up on the stage,
Yeah.
and they were drinking at the bar like before
I noticed
the show.
that. I noticed that during we had gotten there a little bit late. We'd gotten there maybe like 2 or 3 minutes into the show.
Oh, what the hell? Damn kids.
Because it was just strictly just like 95 traffic and
Right.
shit. And I noticed that after the show, people were going up onto the stage and like standing at the bar. I was like, "The fuck is happening?" I was like, my tickets didn't cost that much.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I was sitting as high up as you possibly could. So
nice. So
but I did enjoy the show.
Okay, it's cool. So, since you're done your factoids on the movie, see, we're going like back and forth here, man. We even have the timer running. This is going to be a good episode.
We got dark beer.
We do.
It's gonna be a good.
It's going to be a good episode. So the movie, or I'm sorry, not the movie. The soundtrack for the movie was released on August 13th, 1991. Here's the funny thing about this. Okay, so this is a movie soundtrack, which is ultimately a bunch of covers, right? Played by a bunch of Irish people who aren't even, they're not black. It's not, like they say the whole thing, Dublin's are the black of Ireland and we're black and we're proud. It's like what they say throughout the movie. So it's all, it's a mixture of like different soul songs, R&B songs from like the 60s and whatnot. Because it's the working class music that they want to bring to the working class people, and nobody's more working class than Dublin. Of course, at that time, nobody could get a fucking job in Dublin anyway. But at any rate,
When did you say the soundtrack was released?
1991, August 13th, 1991.
Oh, August 13th.
August 13th.
Because the movie was released a month later.
Okay. But here's the funny thing. That movie soundtrack peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200. And it did so successfully with its sales that it spawned a volume 2, which came out in March of 1992, but it was not to the same success as the first soundtrack. It went platinum 2 times in the U.S., selling over 2 million copies. So this is a movie soundtrack of covers done by Irishmen and women. And it was like a number 8 and went 2 times platinum in the U.S.
How much do you think this movie cost?
Okay, so if we're guessing by 1991 standards or 1990 standards, I'm going to say they shot this movie on $250,000.
It says estimated 12 million. I don't know if that's because
Cost, or is that gross or cost?
No, that was budget.
The budget was 12 million.
Budget was 12 million estimated. I don't know if that's inflated numbers or
I can't imagine they spent $12 million filming this movie.
But apparently worldwide it grossed just under 15 million.
I could see that. No, I could see that. That makes sense.
Which
but
actually lends a credit to it going double platinum.
Yes. Yeah, I can't imagine that it went. Yeah, that has to be inflated prices for that. But at any rate, so this is a great selection of songs from some of the best R&B and soul singers of the time of the 1960s, and most notably Al Green, Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding, who originally released the Try a Little Tenderness, which we'll get into a little bit later. I kind of have an opinion about Try a Little Tenderness. And what's cool is that the cast in the movie actually performs the songs. They're performing the songs in the movie. They're performing the songs on the album.
It's to lend to that. I actually saw a video today while doing a little bit of research for the podcast. I believe it was in 2021, 20 years after the movie came out. They got a bunch of the cast members together.
Oh, really?
And they played a couple gigs as the Commitments.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
They had Glenn Hanser. They had Andrew Strong.
Who has an amazing voice.
They
Great
had
voice.
Brona Gallagher. They had I can't remember her name in real life. The blonde backup singer.
Yes. Angeline Ball.
Yeah, they had her. And I want to say they had one other person. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, they like did like a 20th anniversary reunion thing, and they played a few gigs as the Commitments.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I really wish I knew that was happening. I would have gone to see it. So funny thing I mentioned about Andrew Strong, and I think from what I recollect from the Bright Eyes episode, which I never actually finished listening to, so I understand if you guys toned out of that one because we're a little
and there's a giant empty can of beer behind us.
we're a little in a spot during
to show
towards
how
the end of
drunk
that.
we were.
But so Andrew Strong, this is back in the MySpace days. I actually added him on MySpace and communicated back and forth through messages for a little while, just about music and
you slid into
different
Andrew
stuff.
Strong's DMs.
I did. I slid into his DMs, but it was cool because because the MySpace was the Birmingham Six MySpace, so he recognized who the Birmingham Six was, and and what they went through, and so we talked about that a little bit of Irish politics there, and just music in general, and it was cool. So I don't even it was like really just like random messages, but I mean it kind of went on for like a few months where we just I'd randomly message him, he would randomly message me, and as these things go, I got to be too big of a star, and Andrew Strong just couldn't get a hold.
Sometimes you get too famous to hang out with Andrew Strong anymore.
I do.
It's understandable, man. We've all been there.
Yes. So first, I guess what are your thoughts? I want to do the album first. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's a great album. Yeah, it is a great album. This album, it's funny because I went on a little rant in the last episode. This album was actually the event that introduced me to older soul and R&B. Once again, leave it to white people to teach white people about black music. But
and like you said, they comment on it in the movie. I believe it's the saxophone player says, "Don't you think we're a little bit too white to be playing this kind of music?" Which is when he goes into the whole thing of
we're the working class, and this music was made for the working class.
I like just how much deeper and deeper is like the Irish are the blacks of Europe. Northern Irish are the blacks of Ireland, and Dublin is the blacks of Northern Ireland. And I was like, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
That's what I said. I'm black and I'm proud. And it's say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. And I love that. But that is what it is. This movie introduced me to. Didn't introduce me specifically, because I growing up, I mean, I was 14 when this movie came out, 14, 15, somewhere around there. I mean, I knew who Aretha Franklin was. I knew who Wilson Pickett was. I knew who these people were, but I didn't really go into their music. And that's the beauty of this music, is that it made me, as a music appreciator, get into the fucking the soul and the R&B and listen to that stuff. And now and that then led me to Sam Cooke, and you know what I mean, which is like original soul, and you get into them from Sam Cooke. I went to Ray Charles with the old blues and stuff like that, and it really, my love of that music really came from this movie.
I'm pretty sure he says it's Ray Charles, but I'm hazy at this point. There's a line, my favorite line in the movie is when Jimmy is telling the piano player to not wear his glasses, and the piano player goes, "I can't see without my glasses," and then Jimmy responds, "Neither can Ray Charles, or neither can Stevie Wonder." Can't remember which one he says, but he says one of them. I'm like, that's fucking good.
Yes, yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, just overall, it's just a great album, and it's really hard to I was talking to Tom. Hi, Tom. Not Tom bartender Tom, who we apologize to all the time. I was telling him,
apology Tom, not drinks Tom.
Yes, apology Tom. I'm drinking another Murphy's. I was telling him about how I really, it's it's kind of difficult, like, to pick a top 3 and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, yeah, you have basically an album full of
Bangers.
number 1 hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, no, that's really a good fucking point. And that's what this album is. And for me, and the reason, like, okay, so there's 2 reasons it ended up on my 25. Number 1 reason being that I love the album. Okay, number 2 reason being that it really is an influential album for me personally, just as my musical taste, and as a musician, that it introduced me to all this other music, which is kind of funny, because when you think about it, I actually grew up Northeast Philadelphia, breakdancing to Run DMC and the Fat Boys and LL Cool J and shit like that. But that's that's kind of like different. Like that's rap, that's hip hop, that's it's still to an extent R&B. But this was the music where I'm like, man, this is great, and it really was. It was the foundation of rock and roll.
I was super interested to watch you pour your. I think we've had this.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. Yeah.
You pour stouts like that, and I pour stouts.
You do it like this. Yeah.
I pour stouts like that.
Yeah. But it really was. Soul music, R&B music, blues was really the fucking foundation of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that is where, that's where Elvis got his sound.
Yeah.
That is literally where Led Zeppelin stole their sound. That is where the Rolling Stones got their sound. So all of these excellent, great rock bands all comes from this style of music. Like even the Beatles, like, they were inspired by soul music and R&B music. It's like, it's where it came from, is the originators of rock and roll. And that's why, honestly, that's why I get pissed off when I hear, and I know this is kind of like a hot topic right now anyway, but when I hear people question certain artists who get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, why is Public Enemy in there? Why is,
and we've specifically talked about Public Enemy before, and I was like there is nothing more punk rock than fucking Public Enemy.
Exactly. It's
and we said it before, like just because what you're playing isn't rock and roll music
doesn't mean it's not rock and roll.
If you're doing it,
yes.
it's not the music that you're playing, it's the attitude you have about it.
Yep.
Like we talked about it with Dylan. Like, it's kind of punk rock.
Yeah. And you think about that, like Chuck Berry, B.B. King, Sam Cooke, these people are all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they should all be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so should be the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis. Those people should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But so should these other artists. And so many people are like, well, they're not this or they're not that. Yes, they are. They're every bit of that. And that is ultimately the foundation of rock and roll, where it came from. So that's why, so that's generally, like I said, I mean, this music, this album, it's very influential with me. I fucking love it. And, that's where I got there. So what are your opinions on the album?
So I was kind of taken aback when I put this album on.
Okay.
I had no idea about the music, no idea about the movie. Never heard of it until Paul had mentioned it being on his top 25. Still didn't look it up. Figured I would look it up when we got to it.
Yep.
So I put the album on, and the album opens up with Mustang Sally.
Yes.
And I remember you explained to me, it was like the basis, the story of the movie is working class Irish guy starts a band. I'm expecting something folky, something more traditional, like folk Irish music. Yep. And then Mustang Sally comes on. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just, it's the soundtrack. Maybe it's just a fucking fluke. And then the album keeps going. I'm like, oh no, this is what it is.
So real quick,
and I listened to the album before watching the movie.
All right.
So when I went to put the movie on, I was like, and they started talking about like, oh, we're gonna form a soul band. I'm like, all right, and now it makes a little more sense. Sense. But I love the fucking album.
It's great. It's great. So real quick before I forget the thought. So you mentioned Mustang Sally. Now that's the opening song. It's number one. It's perfect that it is the opening song on the the album because it's ultimately when they get together for their first band practice, it's the first song they try to play, right? And they keep playing Mustang Sally over and over and over again, and it's really bad, right? And what's great is, and I actually I love the artistry. I love how in movies you'll like have one thing that goes here and then it gets referenced later on, foreshadowing or whatever you want to call it, but I like how that happens a lot in movies. I like it in songs and stuff like that. So the movie, their first gig together, their first practice together, is playing Mustang Sally very poorly. And then if you notice before Try a Little Tenderness, before their encore, they closed their last show with Mustang Sally. And it's fucking perfect. Do you know what I mean? And that's basically the point where Jimmy kind of knew it was falling apart, but is sitting there talking to a record label guy, and you see him look up and they're playing Mustang Sally, and you see that look on his face like, this is where we are from where we started. Of course, this is before they do the encore and go out with Try a Little Tenderness and whatnot. But like it's like I love that symbolism, like that artistry in the movie, and then it goes to the soundtrack to show just a few months ago where they were to where they ended up on their last gig, and kind of taking it. And I thought that was cool. But anyway, go on.
So I really enjoyed the album, and I texted Paul when I was on my way up here today, because this album I had the same problem that I had with the Pogues, where I was listening to the extended version of the album.
Yes.
But honestly, I was listening to the extended version, which is an hour and 45 minutes. Do not give a shit, because
I know they're great.
I'll listen to that extended version any day.
I think the extended version includes Volume 2. Which it's funny, like there's the songs that are on Volume 2 that didn't make it on the Volume 1, which is fine, but like I like their version of Hard to Handle. And there's a couple other things where I'm just like, I wonder why that didn't make it onto the original soundtrack. But when you look at when you take the original soundtrack as it is, you're like, oh yeah, no. None of these songs really could replace anything that the soundtrack that's on this soundtrack. So
yeah, I really I was pleasantly surprised when I first put it on, and I was all for it every bit of the way.
Cool.
So I was very happy with the selection of yours.
Cool. And so for the summer movie podcast, what are your feelings on the movie?
I think the movie's good. I think watching it, there's definitely some parts to it where it's like very obviously like these are all young actors. Some of the actors in the movie, this is the only movie they've ever been in.
Well, at least that we've recognized. They could have been in other stuff.
Oh no. There's
There's
a
really?
couple. There's a couple
okay.
where it's literally like they were in The Commitments and that's it. Like if I'm not mistaken, the piano player, for instance.
Okay.
The only thing he's in is The Commitments.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know that. Okay.
But I think there's some times where it definitely shows. But all in all, it's a good flick.
Yeah.
I think like at certain points, like it's a little hokey, like how much of an asshole Deco is. I think it gets a little bit like kind of like cheesy. But
I'll just get into it. Actually, one of the things I love about this movie is, so I'm 47 years old. I started playing guitar when I was 12. I started bands when I was 13, when I knew enough chords to write songs. I think that this movie is probably the most accurate portrayal of band life I've ever seen. Like, granted, you don't generally have like a 10 to 12 member band with all of those eccentric personalities at once, but every single character in that band I've played with, I've run into, I know which band they're in, you know what I mean, like so on and so forth. So like really that Deco, the character that Andrew Strong plays, Deco, that dude's out there, man. That dude, that dude's
100%, I'm sure
that dude's playing right now in you know what I mean, in the area. Like I like, it's like I could like, that's Deco, and that's, you know what I mean, there's Imelda, and there's, like all these people are just like, oh yeah, there's Jimmy the Lips fucking everybody. You know what I mean? But I mean, it really was the and then the fights they would have with each other, and the people who like they didn't like in the band, but they kept them around because they were so goddamn good, such as Deco.
Yeah.
All of those things. It is really the honest to God most accurate portrayal of being in a band that I've ever seen on film. Because when you look at like things like Spinal Tap and shit like that, like that's not real. You know what I mean? Or even like other band movies like Rockstar. The Mark Wahlberg movie. Ever seen that?
No.
Like, I mean, maybe that was like what
purposely avoided that one.
Okay, maybe the things they were doing were typical of '80s metal bands, but like this was ultimately about a local band. It was about a local cover band, and like I said, all of those that is one of the things I love about it is all of those just portrayals of those personalities and honestly, just from my experience, like how accurate they really are.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. The movie was kind of eye-opening because, like, I've always heard stories of, like, during this time period, how rough Ireland was.
Yeah.
And at one point, Jimmy says in the movie, like, when he goes to collect his unemployment check, he's like, it's a third world country. It's like, it's literally a third world. Like, there's just fucking busted down cars that kids are just playing on. Like,
can't you find a job already? It's like, it's third world country. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, like it's like literally, like, you don't think of it, but it literally fucking is like watching that movie. It's a fucking third world country.
It's like, you think I want to be on the dole? You know what I mean? And then I love the line where Jimmy runs into a sax player whose name I can't remember, character's name I can't remember. Again, in the he's like, oh, you're on the dole as well. He's like, oh yeah, I'm on the dole. And he's like, well, I'll tell you what, it's much better being an unemployed musician than it is being an unemployed pipe fitter. And it's just like, all right, yeah. I got that. I get that. Which is funny because for me, anytime I was unemployed, it was actually because of music. I was pretty much able to survive. I was unemployed twice, and I was collecting both times. But like, I was and friend of the podcast, Frank Daly, he's also that's what he does is music professionally. And like, we've talked about that, how great it is and how actually really fortunate we are that like both, like the first time I didn't know I was getting laid off. The second time I knew I was getting laid off. Like I had like 2 months notice that it was happening. The company was closing. So it was like, like whatever. So I was able to take that 2 months time and really like book as many fucking shows as I could. And I did. I booked like a ton of shows for about three to 4 months out that like, I was collecting, but then I was able to make money. I know this is all illegal technically for unemployment, but whatever, sue me.
Sue 'em, America.
Sue me. Talk to my lawyer. She'll probably yell at me for saying this stuff. But anyway, but no, I was able to do that. And I'm fortunate that like when I get into that situation, it's like, well, I'm just going to take a couple extra shows.
Yeah.
And make up whatever money I need to make up. So it's it is kind of cool to do that. So my other thing, one of the things I also loved about the couple memorable parts is like the dad with Elvis. I love how like they have a picture of Elvis and then a picture of the Pope. It's like Jesus, Elvis, and the Pope. You know what I mean? And the dad like Colm Mealy with the pompadour. And he's like, well, why can't I sing? I'll sing in the band. And he tries singing Can't Help Falling in Love with You. He's like, nobody likes Elvis, Dad. Like, no way, And even
then he has the moment where Joey's telling him the story of him meeting Elvis. He's just like, it's like a very like, his dad spilled something on his shirt and then Elvis apologized to him and his fucking dude is just blown away by this. He's like, the king fucking apologized to you. Like, this is wild.
He's like, tell me the truth. Was he doing drugs? He's like, I never saw any drugs. He's like, I knew it. I know. But I mean, obviously everybody knows Elvis did a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So, we also, Jimmy's also kind of suspect too, as to, what he said was true and not true. That's the thing. Like all the stories that Jimmy the Lips tells, there's definitely that, like that sense that he's done some stuff, but he's definitely
stretching the truth as to what he's done. Because even the part at the end when it's Wilson Pickett's in town and whatnot, and the limo pulls up, he's like, I talked to the man, he said he was going to come, and guy, they're like, fuck you fucking liar, and he walks away, and then comes a limo, and he's like, all right, Mr. Pickett, what do you want to do? And it's like, the fuck did he actually, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, but then they point out that he says he's going on tour. He sends a postcard to his mom that he's on tour with someone who's been dead since 1982.
Yeah.
So it's like, where is the
where's the line actually?
Exactly.
What did we talk about before? Is like do you print the truth or do you print the legend?
Exactly.
And he's printing the legend.
Yep. So, yeah, I also love just seeing all the different musicians when he puts the ad in the paper and all the musicians are coming up. He's like, what are your influences? And none of them have to do with soul. Like, it's like about Joni Mitchell. And, it's like
a lot of U2s, a lot of Sinead
O'Connor. And then again, you have the one guy playing the Smiths. Although back to the Elvis thing, like when there's all these people auditioning in the house and the dad tries to go to the bathroom and there's like the 3-piece Cajun man. Oh, this was a Cajun. He's like, oh, it was not. That's fucking blasphemy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's just and again, it's just so like, I guess like with that at that time, you probably just had anybody could be like, oh, I need fucking
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a job, so let me get into this band. And then
have you ever answered like an ad like that? Like
I have. So there was it was like basically I've been doing it on like Craigslist, right? And I saw this was like
you'd stop looking for men.
Yes, I stopped
looking for.
Well, I was still looking for men, just men in a band.
Yeah, just men in a band.
So
not men in your mouth.
Yes. Jesus Christ. So yes, I did. I answered this ad one time. This band like was looking for a bass player. So I messaged him. I was like, yeah, I could do this. So funny story about it is like, so I go and I pick up the guitar player. We drive out to Westchester to probably I guess I'm auditioning, like whatever. And we're at this dude's house in Westchester. And, this girl who's like their friends with comes like at one point we were taking a break and she's talking. She's like, yeah, there's like it's kind of weird. Like that one dude, I forget the name. She said she's like, yeah, he's hanging out with these other people, blah blah blah, and they're like videotaping like all these fucking pranks and shit like that. It's really weird. Turns out like that's like fucking Jackass.
Yeah.
like in the area like I know this is before Jackass was a thing.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird. They're just fucking videotaping like pranks. She's like yeah, some of them are like really dangerous and kind of weird. And we're like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird.
Like that sounds hot.
Yeah, like but whatever. But obviously I didn't get into that band.
Yeah.
So, but which was fine.
And that's why Paul wasn't the bass player for CKY.
That's why. Actually, honestly I don't know who the people were, but I know CKY also came out of Westchester. I highly doubt I auditioned for CKY. You know what I mean? But no, it was like I said, yeah, this girl who was friends with the guys just coming talking about like what ultimately was the Jackass people hanging out in Westchester.
That's weird.
Skateboarding and doing these things. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. That's kind of But no, I would not think that I auditioned for CKY. I don't know what would ever happen with that band or anything like that, but didn't work out.
Have you ever put one of those types of ads out?
That's how I found Barry, my guitar player, and Joe Arnold, our fiddle player.
Oh.
Yep. Because I put ads on Craigslist, actually, as a matter of fact, saying like Irish band looking for da 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 da, and
men seeking men with a fiddle.
Mm-hmm. No, and Barry responded. He's like, "Hey man, I love Irish music, and here's all the stuff I'm into. Da da da. I think I'd like to check it out." And so he actually came out to see me and Bob Hurst from Bogside Rogues, also a friend of the podcast, playing at Emmett's Place. And Emmett's Place, we got to raise the toast for Emmett's Place. Emmett's fine, but Emmett's Place is not. But he came to see me and Bob play the one night, and we got talking, and I was like, yeah man, bring your guitar over. And he brought his guitar over. Me and the drummer Brian had already been kind of like talking about stuff and doing a few things, and the three of us we played and it clicked, and I'm like, you want to do this? He's like, yeah, sure. And then
he's like, I got a brother that plays bass. Aren't they brothers?
They are brothers.
Yeah.
That actually happened. So that is actually kind of how it happened. But James didn't want to join the band at first. I forget why he did. I think he just didn't want to commit. So James did not want to join the band, so we didn't technically have a bass player for like the first year of the band. So we had like a couple different people who would play bass for us, just kind of like on the fly, or like I would turn around and play bass if I had to. But then and I talked to James like a few times, like because James came to see us play a few times. I'm like, man, we could really use a bass player, steady bass. No, I'm not interested on that. And then all of a sudden, like he was at a show and he's like, hey man, you still want a bass player? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, cool, you're fucking in. It wasn't even like a thing. It was just like, yeah, you're in.
Yeah.
Like, you're Barry's brother. You're in. But like, yeah. So that was about a year after doing that. And then maybe about 2 years after that. We've been doing this band. I realized that this is like our 17th year as a band.
Oh well.
So maybe like 2 years after that, or was it? No, I guess it was a year after James had joined the band, because he joined in the end of 2007, so that was our first year, and we put out our first album in 2008. So yeah, so in 2009 was when we put out an ad to add a fiddle player, and Joe Arnold responded to the ad, and yeah, and the rest is history from there. You know what I mean? So since 2009, we've had the same exact lineup. You know what I mean? So really, we've had, you know, ultimately the same exact lineup all along. It's just we've always added. We haven't actually taken it away. So yeah. So I have put those ads out and said, hey, I'm looking for this, that, or the other thing. So,
speaking of Joe, I remember you mentioned on the Bright Eyes episode. Are you able to talk about Joe's thing yet? No,
still can't. So you know, so. Maybe next month I'll be able to. We'll see.
I remember, like, it was one of those things where I was drunk and I didn't fully remember it, and then I was listening back to the episode and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Paul said that.
Yeah, no, you can't talk about that.
I forgot to ask him about that.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, but no, man, like I said, the movie's great. It's funny. What's great about it is sometimes when you get into like movies, especially with like accents, specifically like Irish accents, it is somewhat difficult to understand what is being said.
Paul and I also watched the movie with French subtitles.
Yes. So, but that being said,
that's another thing. If you guys haven't seen this movie, it's fucking free on YouTube right now.
I don't know if it's supposed to be free, but you can look up the commitments and you can watch the movie. It's just that it has French subtitles. So whatever. So that's how I watch it. I watch it on YouTube.
I have an app on my Fire Stick that basically it just pirates. It's pirates movies.
Nice.
So I was originally going to watch it on that until you told me that it was on YouTube. And I was like, oh shit, and I was like, I clicked on it. I'm like, I wonder if this is the same thing Paul watched. And then French popped up. I'm like, that's the same thing Paul watched.
Yep. And me and Katie watched it. Actually, Regina watched a little bit of it too.
I see you sent me a couple pictures of her watching it.
Yeah. And what's great about it is, you know, we're watching it with French subtitles.
Which is interesting because this is a dual Regina factor.
This is a dual Regina factor. Yeah. There you go. Wow. Do you guys have? I guess you guys don't have the Regina factor.
We don't.
Well, we can tell the Regina factor is that she does like the movie.
We've been doing Summer Movie Club since 2020.
Yeah, well, a little bit before Regina.
Yeah, we had the Regina factor before.
Well, the Regina factor was born, she wasn't born from, but actually Regina factor came from Zach of the Summer Movie. So the Summer Movie Club spawned my daughter. Yeah. My daughter's opinion at being a factor on the Country Hipster podcast. No, Regina liked the movie. You know, I think she generally likes musicals and stuff like that. But like what I was saying is, like, despite this movie, they're obviously all Irish with Irish accents. It's very easy to understand everything they're saying. You know, there's other movies where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, Derry Girls.
Never seen it.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Show on Netflix based in Derry, which is in Northern Ireland. It's tough to understand them sometimes. So like that's one of those movies like, let me put on the fucking subtitles just so I can like understand where they're going, and you don't hear you hear it a little bit better. But like when you're seeing the word, it's like, okay, no, I can actually understand what they're saying now. There was another movie, I forget what the fuck it was called. It was a really good movie. It was about an artist, and they were all talking in like old like Cockney English and shit like that. And I tried watching it, and I'm like 15 minutes into the movie, and the person I'm watching it with, I'm like, can you understand a fucking word they're saying? And she was like, no. I'm like, well, let's put the fucking subtitles on. And we did, and I was like, oh, okay, now
it
I
makes a
understand
lot of sense.
Yeah, now I can understand what the fuck they're saying.
Did you ever read or watch Clockwork Orange?
I saw Clockwork Orange years ago. I don't remember anything about it, but no, I definitely never read it.
Clockwork Orange, a lot of it is not a lot of it, but they use a lot of words in the book and in the movie that are basically just slang, and it's like when I read the book, I actually had a printout of it's basically a vocab list of all of the slang terms and what it means. But when you're watching it, you're like, oh, me and my droogs. You're like, what the fuck did he just say? And him and his friends. Like,
right.
So it was very easy to understand, and I wasn't like, There's the one thing I didn't understand is you actually just cleared it up when he's in line and he sees the saxophone player.
Uh-huh.
I heard it's better to be an unemployed musician than an unemployed pint filler. I was like, oh, he's a bartender.
No, he's pipe fitter.
Pipe fitter.
Pipe fitter. Yes.
Yeah. Which would make sense.
See, you're racist. You just went to a
filling,
bartender because he's Irish, didn't you?
If you're filling pints, that's your job.
Yes.
Which means you're not unemployed.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's the thing. Like another movie I had a tough time understanding. I had to put the subtitles on was Trainspotting. The original Trainspotting. I had to put the subtitles on for that because it was like, what the fuck? I don't understand what they're saying. But no, this movie is like I said, and I know there are people who have that issue with foreign movies. They won't watch them because they can't, even when they're in English technically, because they can't get through the accents. But this is one you don't need to have the subtitles on. I don't read French. I speak very little French, and I had the French subtitles on, but they didn't help me on this movie, and I didn't need them. So.
Yeah. The one thing I did understand, where I don't read or speak French, but when they're talking about the band that Glenn Hansard and the bass player are in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
The band is called and it's like we or like cute something like It says it in the fucking subtitles in French. I'm like, oh, I know that.
So I just remember. Okay, so I want to go back to our intros. We do obviously the regular country hipster intro, and I always give some sort of country name to Adam, and he did the Summer Movie Club intro, which is I always think they're pretty clever, where they. Introduce each other based on the movie that they're watching.
I say my goal whenever I'm the one who comes up with the intros for Summer Movie Club is I want to make them as vague as possible.
Okay.
But also my goal is to just make Zach laugh at them.
Right.
So, and usually you make me laugh when you come up with it, when you have my fucking intros.
If Zach was here, I was gonna actually introduce this as like co-host Adam and our guest from the Summer Movie Club, Zach, and together we are and fucking and I guess. But there's only two of us.
There's an exclamation point after the second one.
So Zach went solo.
Yeah.
And so we just have and
as if he had a fucking choice.
Yes, Zach's off doing a solo career, and we've joined the commitments.
Yeah.
So, but no, man, fucking brilliant movie. Love the movie.
Yeah.
Love the album. Yeah. So, what do you think? What do you think our my soon to be 10-month-old daughter thinks?
I'm gonna take a guess that she dug it.
This is a solid for Regina. This is one that from the moment I put the album on, she was like Mustang Sally. She was into it, and then the second song, which I forget what the second song is, but she was definitely still into it. And the first song that one of the women sings, that's when she started singing.
I think it's Chain of Fools.
Might be Chain of Fools,
first,
yeah. So she so this is definitely what do we got here? Guinness. There's another Murphy's. I'm gonna take a Guinness for this next one. Definitely solid for her. Every single time I've played it, she's been into it. She's been singing. She's been laughing. She's been cool. So the coolest thing that happened today, and it is actually kind of funny. So we had to do a little bit of running around today, and while we're driving, and we're listening to Commitments. And hold on, what is the name of the song? I want to make sure I'm actually saying the right title of the song. Is I know. Was it? Which one was it? It was Chain of Fools. Yeah, it was Chain of Fools. We're sitting there, we're driving, and so she starts saying dad. She's been doing that she was doing it the whole car ride. But when Chain of Fools was on, she's singing the rhythm of Chain of Fools, but going da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like I'm just I'm loving it. I love the fact hearing her just talk in general, and just hearing her voice. She's doing this thing right now where she's kind of it's almost like she sounds frustrated. She's not though. Like she's just, or like sometimes it sounds like she's like crying or whatever. She's just literally finding her voice and like learning that she can make sounds, and she's just making them for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm really like enjoying that with her. So hearing her voice, hearing her sing these songs, you know, watching her dance around to it. And again, she loved the movie. What she saw of it, she did eventually fall asleep because, you know, she's a 9-month-old baby. So it's a solid like, and that brings me, I have finally taken the lead in something.
There you go.
That is 8 likes and 2 dislikes for me. And for Adam, it is 7 likes and 2 dislikes for Adam. And there are 6 albums which she is indifferent. And I am so glad that she dislikes the Bright Eyes album.
Yeah.
Top 3 songs.
You want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Let me open up my phone. Top 3, without a doubt, Try a Little Tenderness
Okay.
is at the top of the list. I'm going Chain of Fools,
Okay.
number 2. And for number 3, I'm probably going to do Mr. Pitiful.
Okay. Good. Like again, all really, really great songs, and you know this is really, it's a album of hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My number 1, yes, absolutely. Try a Little Tenderness is my number 1 on this. And this is where I was saying I'll get into Try a Little Tenderness. I'm gonna go as far to say that the Commitments version of Try a Little Tenderness is better than Otis Redding's version of Try a Little Tenderness.
Wow.
So I don't know if you noticed, like I was listening to that as we were preparing for this.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do that comparison, and there have been, actually, this is something I should have like made like a topic. There have been throughout like music history, there have been times where the cover ends up being better than the original. You know,
Hurt by Johnny Cash covering
Hurt by
Nine
Johnny,
Inch
yes,
Nails.
covering
I
Nine
say
Inch Nails.
Trent Reznor's even gone so far as to say that's a Johnny Cash song.
Now. Yeah.
Alien Ant Farm covering Smooth Criminal, but
Well, you know, I wasn't going to go that far, but Jimi Hendrix doing All on the Watchtower. You know, it's excuse me, no offense to Bob Dylan.
Jimi Hendrix is the version. That's the version.
That's the version. The Pixies covering Head On by the Jesus and Mary Chain, which is funny because like those songs, like the Pixies version came out months after the Jesus and Mary Chain came out. Honestly, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You, is cover of Prince. Prince wrote and performed Nothing Compares to You.
Did he perform it though? I thought he just wrote
performed
it.
that shit.
I thought he just wrote it. Did he perform it after her? Or did she? Because I knew he wrote it.
I think he performed it before.
Oh, okay.
But so let's take that one off the table, and then go to something else. Then, so because I might be a little fuzzy on that, but I do I did think that he actually performed it first, but maybe he didn't. Yeah. One thing I can tell you that the Whitney Houston version of "I Will Always Love You" is better than the Dolly Parton version. Nothing against Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton wrote a beautiful song as well, but Whitney Houston actually fucking killed it for the Bodyguard soundtrack.
Yeah. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is like speaking of soundtracks, because we're covering a soundtrack. I'm pretty sure the Bodyguard soundtrack is like the number 1 selling.
It is.
Like,
I think it is
soundtrack of all time.
Yep. And
I think it's literally like the Bodyguard and then Saturday Night Fever are like 1 and 2.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yep. So, but no, I think this is one of those occasions where the cover is better than the original, and that's why it's my number 1. Try a Little Tenderness. Like, just Deco's voice is perfect on it. The sound, the way the song builds, and then the way they use it in the movie. Like I said, it's in their last show, where they do they close the show with Mustang Sally, and then they're like, "Are you gonna do a fucking encore?" And they go back and do the encore. This is after they were all fighting upstairs.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they put out that beautiful fucking rendition of Try a Little Tenderness, which just brought me somewhere as well. Let me ask you something. You know how in the movie, the original drummer drops out because he wants to beat the shit out of Deco. Yeah. Right. And they pull in basically the guy who's their roadie, doorman, sound guy. Yeah. That guy remind you of anybody?
That's Brian.
That is Brian. Like, not only does he look a little bit like him, but the way he talks, the things he's doing, that's fucking Brian.
He's got that skinhead vibe too.
You're crazy. You got something wrong with you. So let's hear it for Brian. So,
and that was the other thing I found like a little hokey about it is like you get this dude who is essentially our brother Brian,
who could turn around and actually play drums really well.
Who they show like they don't even show like a Rocky style montage of him learning to play drums.
Yeah.
It's literally just him pounding
He's
on
like,
shit. And
I'm getting this. I think I'm getting it.
And then the next thing you know, he's just fucking got it down perfect.
One of my favorite things, and this is the scene that really does it for me. That like that's Brian. Like I actually when I was watching it with Katie, and it was after this scene, I was like, by the way, that's my brother Brian right there. Is the scene where they're playing the show and then the guys come to collect the money from Jimmy and they're roughing him up.
Yeah.
And he's looking, he's like, what the fuck is going on? He puts his sticks down and fucking headbutts the dude. He's bleeding all over. He gets Jimmy's money back and then just goes right back up. And it's like, but like, I'm just like, that absolutely 100%. That is something that our brother Brian would have done. So thank you. I got off there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, even the whole thing, like I want to fucking punch him. Like that's normal, man. Like I had a band break up because me and the drummer were gonna come to fisticuffs. Like we got into an argument in a rehearsal, and he was like, "Shut up, shut the fuck up!" Like that. And I just put my bass in. I'm like, "All right, dude, we're done. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
practice is done." And then then he left me and Sean from the Unholy Four. It was when we were one of our old bands. We sat there, we got in my car, we're driving around just dead silent for about like 45 minutes, just driving around. And finally I'm like, I don't want to do this. He's like, either do I. And then we looked at it, so we're like, lose out, right? He's like, oh yeah. We're like, all right, cool. And so then like we went on and we just found another drummer. But it was just like, it was like one of those moments. But yeah, no, like that we absolutely could have come to fisticuffs that day, or probably several times. But get lost, Moth. We have the door open because it's a little stuffy here, so we have I see moths flying around and shit like that. But back to my top three. Number one, Try a Little Tenderness. Number two, Treat Her Right. Love that song. And number three, got to give it up to the ladies. Destination Anywhere.
Destination Anywhere is a good one, but Chain of Fools is. I've always enjoyed that song, period, and they do a very good version.
They do a great version of it. Least favorite. I know, it's hard.
I didn't even.
You don't have one? Okay.
I didn't even write one down because I was like, I'm sitting there looking at it, and literally, if you just throw a dart at the back of the record, and whatever thing it randomly hits, sure, that's my least favorite. Just because I couldn't think of one. I
went with Dark End of the Street.
Okay.
Because that's if we were to take like let's say like I said, I love the version of Hard to Handle. That's on Volume 2. If there's a song I was going to replace with that's probably the song I would replace with it. But it's still good. It's still, you know what I mean? The Dark End of the Street. It's just it's a beautiful song. It's well done. Andrew Strong sings it with such soul and feeling. It's you know what I mean, but that's, and again, that's even is it really my least favorite? You know what I mean? It's just it's the song that I would replace, because it's probably the only real slow song on that album, with with the exception of the can I see that? With the exception of do right woman, do right man. That's the other slower one. You know what I mean? Or I Never Loved a Man. That is another one. But Dark Industry is probably the one that I would probably, if I was going to replace it with anything, that would probably be the one. But again, it's still fucking amazing.
I wish they did a cover of Worms, so I could just obviously throw Worms under the bus. But
I think in this case, I would let you do that.
Yeah.
If they had some weird introduction, I think I would let that go. You know what I mean? So.
But I really enjoyed the album. Really enjoyed the movie.
Yep. So there is a.
Yes, there is a fun thing we do on Summer Movie Club where we will do a top 5 somehow based around something on the movie. So I posed to Paul the top 5 for this episode would be top 5 fictional bands from movies or television.
I honestly, when you came up with it, I'm like, oh, that might be tough. And then I actually I started thinking about it, and a few came to mind. But then I did little bit of research, and I was like, oh no, okay, I got it. Like, no, this, and I was able to come up with some stuff that I thought was really cool. And I honestly think it's a really great fucking topic, because there are a lot of like movies based on bands and music in general that aren't like real.
Yeah.
Probably the most recent one that I'm aware of is that Daisy Jones and the
Six.
And the Six, yeah, which I saw a couple episodes of it. Was digging it, but it was just one of those. I'm really bad with shows, which actually before we get into this, why don't we get into the other thing? That what are you watching?
Oh yeah, what are you watching?
But that leads me to what I'm saying. I'm really bad at watching. Like, I don't, when I say I really don't watch TV, I really fucking don't watch TV.
Yeah.
What we did was
there have been times where on Summer Movie Club, my what have you been watching is what I've been listening to.
Okay.
So if you've been listening to something aside from the commitments, we could throw that.
No, I really haven't. That's the other thing I wanted to get to. Like, so. Okay, so first with that, as we're now extending the episode, but that's okay. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Our little tangents. Katie was telling me she was listening to another tangent. She was listening to one episode. She's like, some tangents are funny. Some of them you guys should just shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we actually, and it's cool. So like, it's been about 2 weeks since we did our double episode of the Bob Dylan, and then the Bright Eyes. And I actually, like, it's been a nice little break for us, even though, like, for you guys, you still got two episodes in a row.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a break, which it was nice, kind of like refresh, you know what I mean? Kind of cool about it. But like, I was like, I'm kind of like finding myself, like, because we also kind of had a little bit of break, like when we picked Bob Dylan to when we actually recorded Bob Dylan, because the Skipper going on, which I actually thought of a fucking joke. Another tangent. So, listening to the Bob Dylan episode, was it the Bob Dylan? Yeah, when we actually recorded the Bob Dylan episode, and I turned it over to you, and you're like, "We lost the Skipper," and my comedic timing was off that day, probably because I was a little distracted. But when I'm listening back to it, I'm like, "Fuck, that would have been the perfect opportunity for me to go, oh, he's just lost? I thought he was dead." But,
so for some reason, I thought you were going to go like a Gilligan's Island.
No.
It was just supposed to be a 3-hour tour.
No.
And then...
No, but that's like, but I'm like, fuck, I missed that fucking time today.
That would have been fucking good.
And honestly, the Skipper probably would have been appreciated.
I would have laughed to stay.
Yeah, but like, it's like, oh wait, I thought he was dead. He's just lost. But at any rate, so but like, so we had roughly about 2 weeks between like when we did our double episode. It did 2 weeks since we did the Bright Eyes, like the double episode, and like I'm really excited to pick something else eventually from the box of Michael, because I don't know what the fuck to listen to now. Like I'm so like for the last 6 months we've been doing this every week and having something else to listen to. So it's like, what the fuck do I listen to? So when I say I don't really watch television, I really don't watch television. Like right now, we actually did upgrade we reinstalled or re-upped our YouTube TV because the Phillies are in the playoffs. Philadelphia Phillies, National League champions in 2002, are once again in the playoffs, and the playoffs start on Tuesday. So I like to watch playoff, like the Phillies. Like I'll listen to them or like I'll just check the scores. But when it comes to playoffs, I want to watch fucking games. So so we have technically kind of cable again, so I can watch the Phillies in the playoffs. But other than that, man, I watch Hairspray and Little Shop of Horrors and Classical Baby, and today I tried introducing Regina to the Phantom of the Opera movie with Emmy Rossum, and I realized I can't. I she likes some of the songs from it, so it's like, but she doesn't like the movie in a whole. So it's like I think I need to find like probably on YouTube just a playlist of like the main songs from Phantom of the Opera, and she'll probably sit there and like be like enthralled for like an hour, because like when certain of the hit songs from Phantom of the Opera came on, she was like, oh okay, but then when you have the interlude songs where they're like kind of like, instead of dialogue it's singing, she was just like, this is stupid, what the fuck, just sing a song, like one that matters. So that's really what I've been watching, is whatever my daughter wants to watch.
That's fair.
I've
been watching Ahsoka, the new
right. We were talking about
Star Wars series on Disney Plus, starring Rosario Dawson.
Yes,
I'm a fan.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yep.
Some interesting shit happening in it. I was never a fan of. I never watched like the Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars or those two things.
Yeah.
Those were kind of like I had kind of. They'd come out at a point where I was just like, I'm not watching. I don't feel like watching cartoons.
I am a Star Wars fan. Obviously, we have we have a Boba Fett glass.
Yeah.
We have a Yoda glass. I have other Star Wars etched glasses. I love Star Wars.
Paul has a very nice collection of Star Wars tiki glasses.
Yes, I do. You know, so like I'm a Star Wars fan.
Oh fuck, dude, we should have had those for the Beach Boys episode.
Yeah, we should have
fucking had
we
tiki
should have.
glasses.
God damn it. Damn it. Yeah, we should have. That would have been actually pretty fucking
We had
amazing.
Hawaiian shirts and fucking sunglasses on.
But we didn't bring
But we didn't fucking get tiki
Fuck,
glasses.
why did God. Damn it, we got to think of this stuff.
Yeah.
Where's our producer, director, and editor extraordinaire?
fucking up. That's where
He
he
should
is.
have fucking suggested that.
Yeah.
He probably did, and we didn't listen to him. At any rate, I love the Star Wars stuff, but like a lot of that extra the stuff, I can't get into it. Like,
No.
I didn't watch the Clone War animated movie. I didn't watch the Clone Wars series. I don't watch Rebels. And I know they even in the one-off movies and whatnot, there were some things that get referenced that were in the cartoons, but it's just which is fine, and I love the Star Wars universe. I'm not going to put that much time into it. Honestly, if it's not a full-length movie or like the series, like I do like the Mandalorian. I'm like I started season 3, I haven't finished it. I didn't mind the Obi-Wan series. I didn't mind the Boba Fett series. I thought the Boba Fett series was a little, but like I will watch this. So I do want to get onto the how do you say it?
Ahsoka.
I do want to get onto.
Just out of curiosity, I know your feelings on the original trilogy. What are your feelings on the prequels?
They have their place.
Okay.
They have their place. I don't hate, like when they came out, a lot of people were like, "Is this a fucking Jar Jar Binks?" Like, you know what, dude? Come on, really?
Yeah.
Like we're still getting new Star Wars movies. That's how I kind of looked at it. Yes, there's things. Yeah, they don't piece. It's, dude. You're talking about shit that was like done like what 30 years away from each other, and you're and I know people get all pissed off about the original movies with like all the added stuff, dude. One of the things I've learned about art, like if you look at like visual art, is that like artists never stop, like, or rarely will stop with a painting. Like if you look at like an old Da Vinci or an old Renoir or even Van Gogh, if you can actually, and because I watched the whole thing about specifically Renoir, that one of his most famous paintings, which I can't think of off the top of my head, was actually redone by him. By him, like if you because they did like an X-ray of the painting, and you could see his original painting and his scratch back there, because and even then, like they were adding to these things year after year after year. So George Lucas is an artist, so the fact that you added stuff to the Star Wars movies, he's not going to stop adding. It's your and then the technology changes.
Well, he has to stop now because he doesn't own them anymore.
Well, there he's like he has no choice. But no, like as far as the original movies go, I know they're like a little bit different. There's some like breaks in the storylines between this and that and the other thing. They're fine. They're fine. They're like, it's like it introduced Star Wars to a new generation. Like I was a little kid and I saw the original Star Wars. It's like, oh my God, that is amazing. My kids saw the prequels and were like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't like the prequels as much, but like to see, like the prequels weren't made ultimately for 30-something-year-old Paul.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you have to recognize that. You know what I mean? They're really not. And even the sequels of the latest trilogy, which I know a lot of people panned as well.
My next question was going to be, what's your thought on the sequels?
They're not made for me either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I enjoy them. I enjoy the fuck out of them, but they're not made for me.
It's like when we covered Hooters. It was like, it's a fine album. That album's not made for Adam.
Yes, and it's one of those things that can you appreciate it or not. Yeah. So I appreciate all Star Wars. Honestly, one of my favorite Star Wars, it's probably like 2A, 2B type of deal behind Empire, I fucking love Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a solid fucking movie. Like if it had nothing to do with Star Wars never existed.
2A, 2B as in Empire's the other one?
Empire's number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2 is probably like New Hope, followed by Rogue One. But like I said, I go back and forth on those. Like if you erased all the other Star Wars movies, if you erased the 9 movies that were out there, and you just threw Rogue One out as a movie, I would fucking love it, and it would stand on its own.
It's a space espionage movie.
It is amazing, Nick. There's that new movie that's coming out. What is the Guardians or something? Not the Guardians. It's a fucking like little kid with the fucking holes in the side of his head. He's some kind of droid or something like that. Where I saw it. It's actually from the director of Rogue One.
Noted the fuck.
I forget what the fuck it's called. At any rate, I've seen a couple things, and I'm just like, I want to see that. I want to fucking see that.
Yeah, that motherfucker did Rogue One. He might do this good too.
Well, just seeing the previews I've seen and the commercials I've seen, I'm like, no, this has my interest. This has definitely piqued my interest. And then I found out that it was the same director from Rogue One, and I was just like, okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like Rogue One is really, it's a Star Wars movie, but I mean, it is a step ahead, and it really does literally lead into A New Hope and gives so much. It honestly gave New Hope so much more of a dimension to it.
Yeah.
40 years after it came out, and probably 30 something years after I saw it, to then watch Rogue One in the theater as well too, which is great. I got to see it like opening weekend in the theater, to see that and then think of like how it directly leads into A New Hope, and it changed New Hope for me. It really did. It really did. And New Hope, like I said, was like Empire is just a better movie in general. You know what I mean? And
Empire's Empire.
Yeah, exactly. But then like Rogue and again, if you erase the rest of the other 9 movies and just had Rogue One, that's a solid fucking science fiction movie, space odyssey. So.
Real quick to touch on what you were talking about, how an artist never stops changing the work. I was listening to a thing of Kevin Smith talk, and he was talking about how he was always very strict with his actors about like sticking to the word of the script.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it came to do Silent Bob's monologue in Chasing Amy.
Okay.
And he basically forgot what his lines were and just started improvising. And famously, like, he would like constantly yell at Ben Affleck for improvising. So Kevin Smith goes off on this improvised monologue for Chasing Amy, and Ben Affleck's like, "What the fuck was that, man?" He's like, "You're allowed to improvise?" He's like, "I'm the writer. This is just another draft." Like, I was like, it's fucking true, man.
Yeah, it is. That's good.
But something else that not that I've been watching, but something that I've been listening to. I went to a concert last night.
Oh, right.
I was telling Paul I went to a concert. My girlfriend Katai randomly texted me probably like a month ago out of the blue and said, "Hey, I got us Kenny Hoopla tickets."
Oh, weird. She randomly texted me too, but it's not. We have tickets to something. It's usually pictures.
Nah, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, she randomly texted me and said, "Hey, I bought."
She doesn't text me just in case.
She's like, I bought us Kenny Hoopla tickets," and I was like, "Oh shit, when?" Because like I'm like, if it's a day that I normally work, I need to put in a request off. So luckily I tend to be off on Sundays, so I put in a request off just to be safe. But I ended up having off, and so I went to see Kenny Hoopla last night at the TLA, and it was really it was a really good fucking show. The band that opened was called Groupthink. Not great.
Okay.
I could dig it. I dug the drummer. But the everything else wasn't, I'm probably not gonna listen to it again. But Kenny Hoopla was really fucking good. And I said to Paul on the way out, I bought one of his records on vinyl.
Yes.
I bought his newer album, Survivor's Guilt, on vinyl. Really nice too. I got to take a picture of it to show you. It's maroon vinyl.
Oh, nice. You don't see a whole lot of maroon. So
yeah,
that's cool.
the cover is predominantly maroon too. So, so they had that for sale, and they had another album for sale of his, and I really regret. I said to Paul, like, I'm having buyer's remorse for not buying both albums.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a little pricey. It was like I think it was like $40.
Yeah.
For the record, but
they're on
like
tour. So here's the good thing about it is like you help them get to the next city now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
and I thought about that when I was walking back to the car. I was like, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we saw them at the TLA. It's not a huge venue.
Nope.
There was maybe, I want to say maybe 400 people.
Okay.
If that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I was like, man, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I like this guy. I like his music. I like what he's doing. I should have bought both.
yeah, but I mean, everybody still has budgets regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Katie has to keep me in check whenever we go to a concert.
Yeah. But
That's
then
why I don't go to concerts with Katie anymore.
That's why you go to concerts with me. I looked up the other vinyl that they had for sale, and that one was also an interesting pressing. It was like a translucent gray,
Nice.
almost like a smoke.
Uh-huh.
It was really fucking cool looking. So I looked at it. I'm like, oh man, I kind of fucking wish I should have like. Not only should I bought it just like because I would want that album, but like that's a cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of colored vinyl.
Right.
I'm a big fan of translucent stuff. Translucent
Translucent
stuff. I don't
vinyl's
understand
cool as
how
fuck.
translucent works.
Either do I. But it's cool as shit.
I still don't fully understand how vinyl works. But the translucent stuff I think is really fucking cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I remember I texted Paul because I learned about how in the Soviet Union, American music was illegal.
Yes.
So they would make bootleg copies of American music on old X-ray films.
Yep.
So I saw a picture of a copy of a Led Zeppelin album, I think, with someone's chest X-ray on it. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
It is.
I'm like, I don't care how shitty the sound quality is. I'd fucking want one of them because
those are actually worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I was like, that's fucking awesome. That someone like that someone figured out that they could do that, and like you could see some random dude's fucking pneumonia on your fucking Led Zeppelin album.
I hope to come across one of those someday. I doubt I ever will, but like that would be awesome. Like that's one of those ones like I probably don't sell. I probably frame it.
I say that's that's one of those ones where like I don't even care what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just having it is cool enough.
Exactly.
So Paul, watching whatever Regina wants. I'm watching Ahsoka, going to Kenny Hoopla concerts. So the final thing that Zach and I do with Summer Movie Club is a top 5.
Okay.
So usually we relate it somehow to the movie. Whoever Zach and I go back and forth hosting Summer Movie Club. So whoever hosts comes up with the intros for the person for the episode, and also comes up with the top 5 category.
Okay.
So the top 5 category for this was top 5 fictional bands.
Yes.
So Paul, who are your top 5 fictional bands?
Okay, so I'm going to do my honorable mention first.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll go through my 5 to 1. Honorable mention.
I will say, usually when Zach and I do this, we don't put them. We just list 5. We don't. We always. Have the caveat of they're not in any specific order.
These are in order.
Yeah.
These are absolutely 100% in order. So my honorable mention is Steel Dragon from the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston, who actually looks amazing in that movie.
I don't find Jennifer Aniston attractive.
She's attractive in that movie. I would check it out if you haven't seen it. So that's my honorable mention for fake band. Number 5, and this is a little bit of a controversial one. Number 5 is the Monkees from the Monkees TV show. Reason I call it controversial is because the Monkees are a real legitimate band.
I say, and we talked about this before. I have one who's controversial in the same vein. So
but
continue.
But their formation of the Monkees, David, Peter, Mickey, and Mike, the way they came together was to do this TV show. They were put together to do a TV show. They just happened to click as musicians and wrote songs and became. And you listen to some of the stuff. I mean, the Monkees are they're a solid band from the '60s.
I always love the line from Walk Hard where it's like, "Hey, you guys are almost as good as the Monkees." So number 5 is the Monkees from the TV show The Monkees. I'll accept it.
Number 4, the Quadratics. I'm not sure. Quadratics from the 1990 film Welcome to the Dollhouse. Did you ever see Welcome to the Dollhouse?
Oh shit, I have seen Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Where it's got like the brothers, the clarinet player, the fat kids on the drums. They got the keyboard player, and then they got like the hot guy like playing and guitar, like Welcome to the Dollhouse, and he's on the clarinet. Woo! And they're like, well, why'd you start this band? Well, for college credits, man. Like there's college applications. I got to look like I'm a well-rounded student.
I fucking forgot about.
So they're number 4. Number 3 is my Slash. We talked about this.
Yeah.
It is both from the 2001 movie starring Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, and Rosario Dawson, Josie and the Pussycats /
Du jour.
Yeah. Funny. Okay, so this is like a life thing, right? So my oldest daughter Kaylee loved Josie and the Pussycats as a kid. She was Josie for Halloween. We had the soundtrack on CD. We had the DVD. We used to fucking watch it all the time. I don't think we saw it.
I feel like I've seen the Josie and the Pussycat soundtrack on vinyl.
It is on vinyl, which I'm thinking of buying, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
There's something else on my list that is being released in October that I'm thinking of paying $60 for, and I'm like, fuck, do I want to pay $60 for this? And I think I do. Yeah. But at any rate, so they did a few years back, they were doing like a 20th anniversary thing of it, right? And so honestly, like, you know, I saw it and I posted it on my daughter's Facebook page, like, hey, they're doing this in LA because you know they live on the West Coast, like, you know, whatever. My ex-wife goes like, oh my God, we should do this because, you know, she's living in Washington with them. She's like, oh my God, we should go down and do this, you know what I mean? And then it was just kind of funny. It was like one of those things where like I realized my ex-wife and I had kind of turned the corner because, you know, even though our marriage ended badly, there was a time where we were good friends and stuff like that. And so Cal like put some sort of like comment and whatnot. And then just going back and forth for about like 20 different comments is me and my ex-wife go, du jour means love. Du jour means friendship. It's like to the point where I think like my daughter just wrote like, you guys need to stop. Like, so yeah, but no, I do love that, like du jour, like Seth Green and like the other.
It's like Seth Green, Breckenmeyer, what's Fajon?
I don't even know.
I can't remember the guy's name. He's from Scrubs.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then I forget who the last guy is.
I don't know either. But it was just so funny. Just like, you know, but yeah. So my number 3 is Josie and the Pussycats / du jour. They're both, you know, in the same vein.
Very nice.
Number 2 cannot have a different number 2 than The Wonders from That Thing You Do, and that is the one Mondo Records. I'm going. Well, it could be either way. The Oneaters or the Wonders.
No. Continue with what you're saying.
So Mondo Records, who does a lot of soundtracks, one of them being Josie and the Pussycats, is doing a reissue of the soundtrack of That Thing You Do, and it's on like
$60 on that.
It's a splattered vinyl, and it comes with a booklet.
I might have to buy.
And it's just like fun. And then and it comes with the original. It comes with a Playtone 45 of That Thing You Do as well. Yeah, I know. I'm like, God damn it!
Spending $60 on that. Let me know when that comes out.
Yeah, you should probably pre-order it. Honestly, I'll send you the link because I'm thinking of doing the same thing.
God damn it!
And then number 1, my number 1 has to be, especially for this podcast, Barry Jive and the Uptown 5, a.k.a. the Kathleen Turner Overdrive, a.k.a. Sonic Death Monkey from the movie High Fidelity, starring Jack Black.
So I thought about Sonic Death Monkey, but then I almost also added the Kinky Wizards.
Okay.
Just because I love the delivery of the guy. He's like, what's your band's name? He's like, the Kinky Wizards.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
Which, if anybody is unaware, we've said this a few times, and just a reminder for Zach, who is not here, Jack Black does indeed star in the movie High Fidelity, even though he forgot about it on the Summer Movie Club episode of High Fidelity. Mm-hmm. He didn't mention that Jack Black was on there, and we had to keep reminding him through that episode that it was there, and I'm going to remind him right now that Jack Black is the singer of Barry Jive and the Uptown 5 doing a little Marvin Gaye. Yeah. And that is my number 1 fictional band from movies and TV.
Very nice.
So what do you got?
My honorable mention, which is the controversial one, which I left it as my honorable mention because of the controversy. Swell Season.
Who?
The Swell Season.
Who is the Swell Season? Remind me.
It's Glenn Hansard's band in Once.
Oh, see, I never actually saw... we're at an hour and a half. I never actually saw Once. Okay. Believe it or not. I've listened to the music. I've never actually seen the movie.
So my understanding of it was that they wrote this music for the movie, but then they just started touring as this band.
So here's the
at least him and the girl did.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing about this. Okay, so and Glenn Hansard talked about this after winning the Academy Award for, because what he won the Academy Award for was Best Original Song for a Movie. So the rules around that are that you actually have to write a song for the movie. And I remember when we were working on the Elliott Smith Heaven Adores You, they were talking about how Elliott Smith was actually sitting down with Gus Van Sant, the director of Good Will Hunting, which the Miss Misery was written for and was also nominated for Academy Award. But like that song was written for the movie. Like Elliott Smith had the idea of the song and but never put it together. And then he sat with Gus Van Sant and said, here's the, so that got nominated for Best Original Song for a Movie. Falling Slowly was nominated for Best Original Song for a Movie and won the Academy Award for it. However, Glenn Hansard actually admitted about a year or two after they won the award that he had written that song years before that.
Oh, really? Yeah. All right, so then if that's the case, then I will exclude them from my list because I wasn't aware of that. So my list in no particular order. One that you might not know, The Blowholes, which, do you remember the show The Adventures of Pete and Pete?
I remember the show. I never actually really watched it, but
there's an episode of
there's some good stuff in there.
There's an Adventures of Pete and Pete episode where little Pete is walking to school and he hears a band playing in a garage, and the band that is playing is Polaris, who does the TV show's theme song, and he likes the song that they're playing so much that he starts a band to try to recreate that song. Okay. And the name of the band is The Blowholes. Okay. I'm gonna go. I think it's fitting with this episode because I was not expecting the commitments to be what it was, and I was like I said, I was expecting folk music, or I was expecting like something like that, and what I got was the Blues Brothers band. Oh, so I'm gonna put the Blues Brothers band on my list. That's a good one. This one is gonna take a second because it's very difficult to pronounce. Figrin D'An and the Modal Nodes.
What is that from?
That is the Cantina band from Star Wars. That is the
okay, yeah, yep. All right, that's good. That's excellent.
I'm throwing that in there.
You would think as a Star Wars fan, I would number one, I would know that, and number two, I would have put the Cantina. But they're the Cantina band for me. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. They've always been the Cantina band for me. Yeah. I specifically listed that name just to fuck with you.
Nice.
Probably I always say on Summer Movie Club, our lists aren't usually in any specific order, but these probably are like my number one, number two. Okay. Number two, Sex Bomb.
Okay, yeah, Sex Bomb. Yeah, it's good.
Sex Bomb is actually I was watching a video today where it was it was like top songs by fictional bands in movies, and the song that they listed by Sex Bomb was
two copies available in stock at Ottsville Record Garage.
Okay, so on side one, track one, they listed as "We Are Sex Bomb."
Yeah.
In the movie, he refers to it as
random colored vinyl. Yeah. Buy them.
If I remember correctly, in the movie, he refers to the song as like, "All right, let's start with Launchpad McQuack." And he's like, "That's not the name of the song." But that was the song that they had listed for that and they said they would have listed Black Sheep by Clash at Demon Head, but technically Black Sheep is a Metric song. Okay. But if I'm not mistaken,
there's also a rap group called Black Sheep.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Metric wrote Black Sheep for the movie, but then added it to one of their albums.
It's possible.
Yeah. Okay. And then number one, the Oneaters. You have to.
The Oneaters. Yeah. The Oneaters. You know, I honestly, I almost did not put the Wonders on there. I actually came close to switching it with Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
That would have been a good one too.
That would have been like yeah, I know. Maybe I'll change my number two to Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. If you've never seen the movie That Thing You Do,
that's fucking good.
As the band The Wonders are being big, they're like, we're gonna have you in a major motion picture, and basically they end up in the equivalent of a Frankie and Annette movie.
Yeah.
And they're the band playing on the beach, and they're called Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
I love the line in the movie is like when they're at the weird like low budget.
The
low budget radio
yeah.
station is like, who's your influences? And Lenny just leans in and he goes, Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. And Tom Hanks gives him a look like, you fucking asshole.
Fuck, dude.
We're not the Wonders. We're Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters playing a weekend at Party Pier.
Exactly. He's like, do we have a top 10 song?
Yes,
you do.
Yeah. I think I talked about it on the podcast before. I almost I keep meaning to buy a T-shirt that is the Ramones logo, but it's the Wonders.
Do they have that?
Yeah.
Oh, do they
yeah,
really?
It's the Ramones logo and it's the Wonders. So it just, but it's listed as the Oneaters.
Oh.
And it literally just says like it has all their names around it, like the Ramones logo, and it just says TB
player. Yeah. I tell you what. I will buy the T-shirts. You buy the records.
Yeah. Let's get right on that.
That'll be even. Right? All right. So
yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So we do hope that you have enjoyed this crossover episode here.
I say we have more business to get to.
We do have more business to get to. I'm just saying in general because ultimately the business now is pretty much country hipster podcast business.
Yeah.
But I do wish that Zach was able to be here for this.
Yeah.
But obviously, hold on. Obviously, it was his schedule's a little crazy, and it's a little tough for him to get here tonight because we do things like you have a bad schedule, he has a bad schedule. So I do wish Zach could have been here for this, but he wasn't able to be here, and we have the kids yelling in the background. Yeah. So yes, so Summer Movie Club listeners, we hope that you have enjoyed this insight to the Country Hipster Podcast. The Country Hipster Podcast, please enjoy the insight to the Summer Movie Club and go check it out. But yes, we do have some Country Hipster Podcast business to go. No, we're not there yet. We got business before that. Grab that motherfucking record right there.
Oh, that's right. We do
before
we do the Box of Mike.
Yes.
I'm losing it.
And it's okay. It's a crossover. It's
if
a little...
that's the case, I'm going to drink another beer.
Do it. Yes. I was wondering, like, why am I pouring a beer and you're not? And yes, we have hit our hour and a half timer. But what's good is we are close to.
Technically, it's only 45 minutes of two different podcasts.
Exactly. So you're good. Yes. You can't complain about that. Especially the last time I was on Summer Movie Club. How long did that end up?
That was like our longest episode.
Yeah. So it was like similar to the Fall from Grace with God episode that we had. So what I have here is my copy of the Commitment soundtrack, which is a 2016 music on vinyl at the movies pressing, 180 gram black vinyl. So
I will say real quick, the High Fidelity episode is the second most listened to episode of
very awesome.
Summer Movie Club.
Very cool. So what is Music on Vinyl? Music on Vinyl is a label based out of the Netherlands. They generally do a lot of high quality reissues. Similar, they're kind of like the European version of Mobile Fidelity, but
the High Fidelity episode was 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. Okay, 4.5 hours. If you want to spend half a work day listening to Zach forgetting that Jack Black is in High Fidelity.
No, if you want to spend half a workday of basically, because Paul and I were in the same room when we recorded and Zach was remote.
Yes.
So it's basically me and Paul just talking over Zach for 4.5 hours.
Yes, pretty much. And every time Zach tried, it's like, wait, are you still here? What?
Yeah.
And every now and then I think it was like, are your kids dying in the background?
Yeah.
But So
Netherlands.
Yeah, so Music on Vinyl is a label out of the Netherlands, probably like the European version of Mobile Fidelity. The Mobile Fidelity pressings are a little bit nicer. These are still some high quality pressings. What they usually do is
I was commenting on just the plastic sleeve.
Yeah, they come in a nice sleeve. The artwork's good. It's got their little like logos. They do a whole series of movie soundtracks, and they literally call them like it's their At the Movies series. So that's what the hype sticker on here says. And this is the black version. There are a couple different 2016 versions. One of them's like a silver, one of them's a splatter one. So what they'll do is they'll release the colored vinyl version of the record first, and then eventually they'll release the black vinyl. Still limited edition. This one and At the Movie stuff is not generally numbered, but some of their stuff is numbered. They'll do like a limited pressing, and you can actually see what the numbers. This is a black vinyl version. So it's not quite as cool as like the colored vinyl. If I had had a colored vinyl version, but I am very happy with my copy. This is a very good plus MSRP of $23.92. We round up to $24,
which that's like half the gap.
that brings my running total to $537, and Adam's running total is $567. So you are $30 to the good.
Yeah.
You are $30 ahead of me, and honestly, the way this is going, and what's cool,
The tides may turn.
the tides may turn.
And
I could,
other
you
shoe
know,
drops or something. Like that.
or you could expand your
Or
lead
you
even
could pull
more.
that one record that you can't remember what it is. That's really expensive.
Yeah, I know, right? Fuck. I really hope it's the fucking Steel Train record, and I hope there's not.
I can't imagine I have two records. That are that
I think there is one. I think there's another, but maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? So I might have been drunk when I was looking them up. So here's what I will say. Here, I'll let you because I don't know who pulled the last one. So you can pull this one. Did you? Oh,
I'm almost 100% certain I pulled it.
Hold on. We won. I like that side. So what I will say is this. So this is episode 28, but this is the 25th. The Commitments is the 25th record that we're covering this season. So we are on officially. This is going to officially start the second half of our first season of the Country Hipster Podcast. So I'm excited about that. I really am, and I'm going to mix them up some more. All right. I felt one that I wanted, but okay. Here we go.
What number you got?
It's number 3. This is number 3. I think this is pink. I think I just saw what it is.
What, the thing over? You barely opened
I know, but I
corner.
think I saw
How?
it through. I think I saw through it.
Oh.
I'm very excited about this.
I was like, you fucking lifted the edge. How did you fucking read what's on it already?
I think. Oh yeah, no. Okay, if I'm right, we'll see. We'll see.
Are you right?
Oh, I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm right. This isn't me.
Yeah?
This is me. This is my boy Elvis Costello with the album Spike.
Nice.
Yes. Here it is, right here. Boom. Elvis Costello's Spike. This is the album we are going to talk about on episode 29 and the first half of our season 1. So if you are not familiar with this album, this is,
I'm not.
I believe, Elvis Costello's first solo album without the attractions.
Oh, wow. It
And-
even breaks down, like, what people were playing.
Yep. And this actually features the hit song, which was actually the song that introduced me. Which introduced me. We'll get into that in the podcast because it's very interesting.
That's why I didn't say it out loud. I just pointed that out to you.
It's very interesting how much I love this album because of that. But this album contains the song that introduced me ultimately to Elvis Costello, and that is Veronica, which was like a very, very big hit song there, which you would know if you heard it. So, episode 29, Elvis Costello's Spike. Very excited about that.
It's a terrifying album cover.
It is.
Don't like it.
It is. And I'm also very excited to have a 2 in a row.
Is there guest potential for this?
Potential, yes. 2 potential guests on this one. We'll see who is available, and we will go from there. But yeah, nice. Now I got something to listen to for the next few days, and it's an album I love.
We have a sign off for Summer Movie Club too.
Do you?
Yeah. So if you're ready to do the sign off, I'll do mine.
And then we gotta do mine last because then it gets all loud and shit. But yeah, no, man, I love the Commitments. Go check out the movie. Like we said, as much as hey, as a musician, I hate when people pirate music, but it's the same token. You can watch it on YouTube with French subtitles. Yeah. You'd actually see the whole movie. Yeah, man, I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. It's a great thing, and I'm looking forward to Spike next week.
I'm a huge fan of both, and this is very much in the vein of Joshua Tree for me, where I'm excited because I know fuck all about Elvis Costello, but I'm eager to listen to him.
I'm curious to find out if this is. I don't think it is, but I'm curious to find out if you feel this is one of those dated albums.
Okay.
Because we've had a few of those, like In Excess Kick. Yeah. Part of In Excess Kick is very dated. The Hooters was pretty dated. I don't feel this album is. So I am kind of interested to get your opinion, since you said you don't know much about it at all. So yeah, I am interested in that. So, but yeah, go ahead, do your summer movie club sign off.
I will say, as we always say on Summer Movie Club, be safe, be healthy, be kind to one another, and I love you, mean it.
Wow, that's weird. That's that is like way better than. Mama!